Now streaming on Angel.
Now it's for the time that we've all been waiting for. We're going to meet Ben, LaCol, and Tanner. Let's welcome them into the live stream. Welcome, guys. We're so excited to have you guys here.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, man. Yeah. Excited to be here.
I want to be able to dive right deep into this, but I want to first share with everyone the Rotten Tomatoes score and the audience score that this film received, as well as the Guild score, because we know, even though, yes, Rotten Tomatoes and audience score are really important, the Guild score is what kind of helped bring this movie to life, and it's because of you Guild members that we get to have movies like this. The Rotten Tomatoes score is currently at 100%, and the audience score is at 99%. And the Guild score that got this to pass was a flying 95. That's like one of the highest Guild scores ever, so you guys better watch this movie.
Yeah, that's right. Better watch it, or else.
We're going to show up at your doorstep in a wrestling singlet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start the first question with you, Ben. For all of us that are tuning in tonight, you're meeting Ben for the first time. Whether it's that you've already seen the film, kind of getting to know him a little more here, or you're meeting him here in the live stream and you're getting ready to watch the film. For you, Ben, what do you want to tell the audiences when you kind of get to introduce yourself to them? Like, who is Ben Kjar?
No, Ben Kjar is a person that was born with Cruzon syndrome and with no way of living an ordinary life, had the opportunity to live an extraordinary one. I think everyone is backed against a wall in their life, and they get to choose how they live, if they're going to stand out or if they're just going to try to fit in. And in this film, I don't care if you've ever wrestled. This is not a wrestling movie. I don't care if you have a facial difference. It is about humanity. It is about going through difficult things and not just finding a way out, but a way to thrive in life.
Thank you for sharing that. One thing to kind of get us more into this live stream that I would love for you to share is, now that the movie is made and we're here, what would you want to tell your younger self after all this that you've experienced?
Oh, that's such a good question. There's a moment in the movie where I have a chance to kind of do that. Tanner and the incredible team, TC Christensen and Jared Hess, came together and they directed this in a way that I was able to come back to my younger self and kind of watch some incredibly difficult moments. And there's a moment where I just get made fun of in school. It was by a kid who's a few years older than me. And he defends himself. Little Ben defends himself. And there's a moment where I have this interaction with my younger self, and he jumps and it gives me like the biggest high five. And it's this moment where there's a connection of just me saying, I'm dang proud of you. Everything's not just going to be okay. It's going to be awesome. You're meant to stand out. You're not meant to be normal, because people who are different make a difference. And I feel like in life, as we go about living that way, and I think that's how life is meant to be lived.
It's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That's really impactful. I think a lot of people can resonate with a feeling like that, when being able to think back to your younger self, like, look at all that I've overcome. And it's almost like giving your younger self a hug and telling them, like, look at that, everything ended up being okay. I wanted to ask this next question to you, LaCol, but for you, when you first met Ben and now seeing the film, what kind of stood out to you right away and drew you to him?
So I'm the lucky woman that's married to Ben. We've been married for 17 years now, and I'm still drawn to what I was drawn to then, which is pretty impressive. He's such a great guy. But yeah, when I first saw him, I just felt his energy, his positivity, his confidence, and I would see pictures of him in the hall. He wrestled at UVU, and I ran track there at UVU. And so we kind of got to know each other through the athletic program. But yeah, just his grit and his integrity and his honesty. Those are all things that really stood out to me, and they still do to this day. So yeah, I'm very lucky to be married to him.
Can I tell you what just totally stood out to me about her? When I met her, and this is so important, when I met her, and this is important for the people watching, as you're out there living your life, and maybe you're single, maybe you're looking for your loved one. We talked about BYU, we talked about UVU and being in college, right? There's so many people out there watching at that age. I saw my wife, or I saw who was not my wife at that point. And I remember seeing LaCol, and whether I was with her or not, she was going places. And I'm like, she's going there whether I'm there or not. And so I wanted to be part of that journey. I wanted to be part of a journey that was just intentional. It was passionate. There were so much incredible things about her. I'm like, holy cow. And so in life, I believe, as we put our goals out there, as we put our dreams out there, people are attracted to that. They're not attracted to what we feel like we are, what we want to be. They're attracted to who we are. And I think that goes right back to the film. Like, go out there, stand out. Be a person who's passionate, who's not afraid to lose, right? Be a person who puts it out there. And people will notice that, the genuine version of that, right? And they'll be so attracted to that.
You might say they're attracted to what stands out.
Yeah.
Now, LaCol, now that you've seen the film, what's something that you feel like captures Ben that people don't usually get to see day to day?
Something that I wish people could see more of day to day is just how funny he is. And Tanner did a really great job using his own funniness over there, getting that into the film and kind of showing that off with Ben. And anytime, so I was lucky to see the process of the film many times before it was released. And anytime Tanner would cut little pieces out that just like showed just a piece of Ben it's hilarious. Like he's got a really funny personality that's super unique. And so yeah, that was just like heartbreaking. I'm like, oh, you should leave that part in. Oh, extend that muscle flexing. Like I love that part, you know. But yeah, I think they did a really good job with his.
LaCol wanted the movie to
hilariousness.
be 4 hours long.
Yeah.
We just couldn't do it.
She also wanted to always extend the muscle flexing.
Yeah, definitely.
Always. So you have to cut some of that out.
We can't do 3.5 hour muscle flexing. It's not. I'm always gonna sit through this.
Well,
Probably
don't
not.
say nobody.
Probably not.
Don't say nobody. How many of you would sit through
Just
that?
send
Come
me
on.
the 4-hour film. I'll watch it plenty.
If it were a lot more extending of the muscle flexing, we would probably have a 62 out of 100 on the Angels score.
See what I mean? Like, if you don't stop this now, it's just gonna keep going.
That's fair. Well, then I'm gonna ask Ben a question. You've already kind of got you talking a little bit about like the making of the movie, but I wanted to ask you first, Tanner, what kind of drew you to Ben's story once you heard it? I know you said you guys knew each other in high school. But like, kind of what pulled you into this whole project?
Yeah, no, when we did somewhat know of each other. I mean, so I grew up in Centerville, as did Ben, and I'm just a couple years older than Ben. And I mean, really, back then, especially, Centerville's a small town, and I don't know that there was anybody in town that didn't know who Ben Kjar was. Like he stood out not just because he looked different, but because of his personality. Like he was just he was and still is just a magnetic type of person that people wanted to be around. And I was no different. I noticed him, and it was actually my dad, T.C. Christensen, who's a producer in the film. He shot the film. He noticed Ben as well, and at one point wrote down Ben's name in his like movie idea file. And we had then 30 years later we were looking for a project that we could do, something what's the next film going to be, and that was something. It was maybe going to be my turn at taking a stab at directing, and we looked through that file, and Ben's name was there, and man, that was it. We saw us. I still remember him. He had the paper out and he said Ben Kjar, and it was like boom, that's it. Like that we didn't discuss any other ideas. That was it. Then there was just a question of, can we get Ben to sign up with us and trust us with his story,
Oh yeah. And I feel like this movie is not just like you mentioned, this is not like a sports film. This is a movie. It's a documentary that really feels personal. What was the approach then that you had for you to tell that element of the story, not just like, hey, this is not just about wrestling?
Luckily there was so many things to pull from in Ben's life that aren't anything to do with wrestling. The wrestling just ended up being kind of maybe a little bit of a backbone of the story, something to help drive and motivate some of the things that happened. But I honestly think one of the most amazing parts of this that makes it feel so personal is that Ben's parents, Scott and Stana Kjar, were the most incredible documentary filmmakers that have ever lived, but just about their own family. Like, they documented their family like no other family, I think, in the United States ever has. Like, they had an incredible amount of home movie footage. They shot everything. Like, and this was back in the 80s and 90s, when it was not on your phone, right? They're lugging around a big giant camera, and they took it everywhere. And I know they did because of the laundry baskets full of videotapes that they dropped off at my house, and we went through every single one. And to find the pieces for this movie, they did an incredible job documenting not just Ben's life, but their entire family's life. And I think because you get to see so many moments of, like, what's being talked about, well, you see the real thing. You see what actually happened to Ben in that moment. You're seeing it in real time. Like, that brings a personal touch to it that just, I think, is totally unique to this film, and something that I don't even know that we anticipated in the beginning, having the access to that. But it was such a blessing to be able to have archival footage like that and be able to tell Ben's story with the real deal.
That's true. I feel like that's such a rare thing to get when it comes to documentaries. A lot of times people have to remake stories, and but that is such a good element that the film was able to captivate, because you documented it.
It was incredible. I mean, we certainly did that. There are some recreations and stuff in the film, but it was just that sounds weird to say, but an absolute delight to be able to go through all of those home movies. And I mean, yeah, who wants to go through other people's home movies? That's probably there's something probably wrong with my head about that. But we went through everything, and man, there was just so much amazing stuff. I seriously could be more grateful for Scott and Stan and what they did.
Thank you for sharing that. Before we transition into the next segment, remind everyone from home, you can watch this film on angel.com/standoutguild. Don't forget to watch it after tonight's stream. It'll be awesome. It'll be the best way to end the stream. Pop some popcorn and get comfortable and watch this build from home. Now, let's talk about bringing this build to life, to screen for everyone to see. I want to ask this question first to Ben, but there's so many moments that were captured from your life that were so raw and personal. What's it like for you now watching it back and seeing your life turn into a film?
Oh, it's unreal. It's absolutely just an honor. I'd been approached before to do something like this from some big channels on TV, but it just never felt right. Even though in my mind it was oh, this is a dream, let's go. It never felt right. And then the Christensens approached me, and I'm like, come on, this feels so right. And I knew the quality that they did, and they're so good at what they do. As you guys, you'll be able to see that. And I know they would put it in the right light, and they would tell a raw, authentic, vulnerable story. Now more than ever, we need that. We need raw, vulnerable, authentic stories. And when they approached me, I asked, how will you portray this? Because I'd had people tell me how they would portray it, and it just didn't hit for me. And they said, Ben, have you ever seen the movie Wonder? And I had. It's a kid with a facial difference. And the little boy, his name is Augie. And they said, imagine you were Augie. But imagine that boy, Augie, grows up to be Rocky Balboa. And when I heard that, I was like, yeah, let's go. And then they said, but here's the difference. And this is where it will hit. They said, but your story, Hollywood can't write. Your story is based on a true story, Ben. I spoke on stage with Augie, the guy who played him, the little boy, and he didn't have a facial difference. And he did a fantastic job acting. But it's not the same. If you've been through what I've been through, and anybody with a facial difference and going through wrestling, it's a lived knowledge that is different, right? And so this is so authentic. And I remember Tanner Christensen saying in one of our private screenings before, or TC, it was the Christensens, they were both saying, what do we want to have happen? And I remember them saying, we want people to come back. More than anything, we want people to come back and experience this same feeling again and again and again. There's a reason why there has been people that have seen the film in theaters 10 times. Now, I have never seen a film in theater 10 times, right? But this film has had people see it double digits, and that means the world. It's such an honor that they would want to see it that many times.
That's amazing. I think really authenticity is what pulls some of the best storytelling. And that's probably why there are people seeing it double digits. And now people can watch it from home, even triple digits if they wanted. Yeah. They can stream it right at their comfortable couch at home. So
when you watch it triple digits, trust me, you reach out to me and I'm going to send you a signed poster and I will make sure they both sign it too once you hit 100 for sure.
Speaking about like audiences that get to see it, like they get to experience it multiple times, or just anyone who gets to see the film, what's something that you really hope that they can take away from this? Besides, like, they get to learn about you, get to I really connect with that personal story of being able to stand out. What's something that you want them to be like, just walk away from?
Yeah.
That first time especially.
I want them to feel. I was on a podcast, and the person who did the podcast, shout out to Taylor Church, he said, Ben, your film wrecked me in the best way. I couldn't stop thinking about it for an entire week. He said, Ben, I need to go see it again. I want people to feel. I want people to live. I want people to experience feelings. And I want them to laugh. I want them to have a good time. And lastly, I want them to call their shot. In the film, when I'm just a sophomore in high school, I put on my Letterman's jacket, 3XSC, not to ruin it for you guys, but to give you a little bit of insight, I called my shot to be a 3-time state champion way before it ever happened. In life, we don't dream enough, and we do it quietly, and when you do that, you don't achieve as much. Because when you fail with nobody holding you accountable, it's easy to just do that. I want people to feel. I want people to live. I want people to dream again. And we've seen that. And I can't even tell you, like, how many messages we've got from people all over saying, thank you. And I couldn't help but share the story of everybody, like my wife and my uncles and my family members. No better story to tell than theirs.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I wanted to kind of follow up with a question for you, LaCol. You got to see these very vulnerable moments on screen. You lived them in real time. What hit you, like, really emotionally in a way that you didn't expect when you watched the film?
Ooh, gosh, there's so many parts. There's parts when he's just a little kid, um, that's just heartbreaking to see, where he succeeds, but he's got a road. I mean, there's a road to get there, you know? Things that I didn't know about him. He has family members and best friends that he grew up with that always are saying, I didn't know that about you. And so that was really, really neat to see. And my respect for him deepened for sure on that. And he's just my hero. Little Ben is my hero. Like all these little stages of Ben, like that's my hero, you know, and I just love that about it. But I also love the story with our kids. And yeah, I guess I don't want to give things away with that either, but that was a journey as well. And to be able to go through that with Ben, man, Tanner captured it just so well and put little clips together that they're my kids' favorite part. They have seen the film over and over again, and I wanted to make it special for them, you know, and make sure we went to the theaters many times so they could see it. But they will sit through. They're 6 and 7 years old, and they will sit through that film to see themselves at the very end. And I don't know if they don't sit through films to like, but they will do that over and over again. But it's powerful, and it's super special. And yeah, Tanner and TC did an amazing job capturing those little moments in there that, yeah, I love that.
Teacher Cristina, for you, Tanner, as the director for all of this, there's so many elements that stand out in this film, like not just the symbolism, the cinematography, the production design. Like, how intentional were you with this visual storytelling?
Oh man, I mean, a part of it, I guess, would be to say that it was everything good in there. I was very intentional about all the good parts, but I don't like it. I would say like we tried our best. This was my first time directing. We prepared as much as we could, and we tried to come up with a visual language in the for the film that would be able to do justice to Ben's story. And I mean, we have done as much as we could to make that hit as hard as it could, and we hope it succeeds. We hope, and we hope the Guild School reflects that it does that.
Can you walk us through a scene for you that became one of your favorite ones, whether it was the way that you helped bring it together or just like the story of it?
I think one of the things that we were the most worried about when we were going to shoot this film was we knew that there were going to be scenes that we wanted to recreate, and how are we going to do that? Because there were scenes that would have been, that take place when Ben is a kid. Well, we're going to need an actor that can portray a young Ben, and where are we going to find someone that can do that? We not only didn't have the budget to do makeup or whatever to get a kid to look like Ben would have back then, but we didn't want to go that route anyway. We wanted to be authentic with it. We wanted to it's a story about facial difference community, like that we wanted them to be able to get behind and feel good about, and we wanted to be as authentic as we could. So then that meant getting a young boy with Cruzon syndrome to be able to play young Ben. Well, guess what? Cruzon syndrome is pretty rare. Like, it is not something that there's just a ton of actors out there that have that condition, let alone just kids with that condition. So we spent a long time looking for an actor to be able to to portray young Ben, and we were not successful for months. Even going so far as to go through nonprofits that help these kids, and having them help us try to find somebody. We could not find anyone. And just a few months before shooting, Ben got a message on social media asking him to come to dinner, meet this family that he did not know. And he showed up, and standing there in the doorway was Colton Fielding, this boy, 5 years old, little blonde kid with Cruzon syndrome. And not only did he look like Ben looked back then, he had this a similar energy, was like a gregarious, outgoing, kind of funny kid. These people lived 20 minutes from Ben's house.
Oh my goodness.
It was an absolute miracle finding Colton, and not only Colton, but his family, who have been heavily involved in the film and huge supporters. Going through that process with then shooting scenes with Colton, where he's not an actor. He's a 5-year-old kid, but to be able to capture what we did, and those scenes with Colton, like, turned out. I'm just incredibly proud of them, of the job that he did. He just absolutely crushed it, and I think really, like, brought a level of authenticity to the story that we would have not had we had tried to do some kind of Hollywood, makeup or tricks or whatever. So that's what I'd say.
That is incredible. I feel like what it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And that sometimes closer than you think it is going to be. 20 minutes is incredible. That is, I feel like God really is in all the details with things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had miracle after miracle like that in making the film. Like, it seriously was, we hope that means there's, it's bigger than just a little story, a little film or whatever,
One thing that's interesting, I'll piggyback off that, is the Fieldings have been trying to get reconstructive facial surgery for him. When I was his age, it was that age of 5 that your face is growing and you need a reconstructive facial surgery that's very big, and it takes months to heal from that, right? They couldn't get that surgery for whatever reason for the longest time. The moment we were done filming, he went into surgery. He doesn't look the same. It would have been a totally different portrayal of Ben Kjar at a younger age. And so, like, the timing is interesting. God's timing is right on. And it was just so incredible. The feedback that we've got, my biggest worry, like, going into this film was like, oh man, like, are kids going to like this? Like, my kids, who watches documentaries at such a young age? I have got such an overwhelming response from kids saying that this is the best movie they've ever seen. One kid from Wyoming sent me a personal message. He says, "This is the best movie I've ever saw." And it's just incredible. They're writing, kids from around the country are writing 3XSC and putting it on their ceiling and putting it on their shirts. There's an entire wrestling team from Duchesne that before state, they wrote 3XSC on their shirt. And then they went on to win 3-time state champion as a team. This film is allowing people to live again and dream again. And I'm getting parents that are messaging me saying, I can't tell you what's happened since my boy or girl has seen this film. I'm like, come on. If this is like any type of foundation to allow these people to live a better life, that's the best thing we could hope for.
I agree. I think a lot of people have been really impacted by this film. And that being said, I wanted to now take the time to a pre-recorded message that we received from Jared Hess, the producer of this film.
Hey everybody, this is Jared Hess, one of the producers of the incredible documentary film Standout. Standout is one of the most life-affirming films that I've ever seen. And the story of Ben, just what he went through to achieve his dreams is just something remarkable. And, for me, one of the special things about the film, aside from Ben's incredible character and his willingness to never give up, he was surrounded by really amazing people in his life that believed in him, from teachers to coaches, friends, parents, other family members. I mean, just the people that rallied around him were just examples of pure love and kindness, and also how Ben handled rejection and cruelty from people online and in real life is just kind of a masterclass in how we should treat other people. And I'm proud to be a part of this film. It's unlike anything I've ever seen, and it's something that after you see it, you're going to want to share it with your loved ones, friends, and family members. And really, after you see it, you want everyone to watch it, just because it's such an incredible reminder of how we should treat others and how we should live. So please see Standout, spread the word. It's just a remarkable, life-changing film. Thanks.
We just watched that video from Jared Hess, who helped produce this film. He is the director of Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Libre, and Minecraft. It was so amazing for the crew and for Ben to get him involved in this film. Now, I wanted to get you guys' reaction to his video.
Man, I tell you what, he is an icon. He's one of the biggest names in Hollywood, in the entire world. He's getting ready to film a Minecraft movie too. And it's just humbling that he would feel like this is such a project in the top of his career to want to be a part of. I mean, he is literally the top of his career, one of the most high demand directors, and he wants to be a part of a story that's about my life. Like, that's so humbling. And it's been fun. It's been really fun to get to know Jared and to have him work alongside our team, and it's just an honor. It's an honor to be tag team with people like him and Tanner and TC that are just legends. They're the best in the world at their craft.
Yeah, I mean, this was my first time directing a film, and that was something that made me a little nervous. I mean, and one way that I felt like I could overcome any nerves I had or any maybe mistakes I might be making was to have some really great people in my corner, and I couldn't have asked for better. I ended up with the two biggest mentors of my life as the producers on my film, TC Christensen, my dad, and Jared Hess, who I have known since I was about 11 years old. He was probably about 14 then or whatever. I mean, I've known him for a very long time. I've worked with him on a number of projects. Both of these men, like, has not been a bigger influence in my life than them as far as filmmaking. And I mean, to have them in my corner as we go out and make this film is, I mean, dream come true, like an absolute dream team. And I just hope that we did them proud. That's that's all. And I'm really so excited that they're played such a big part in this film.
Okay. Now that we're getting to the final thoughts of the live stream, I want to start with asking you, Ben, a question. In the film, you pushed through moments that weren't very easy, and you got to kind of see yourself kind of having to believe in yourself and remind yourself, but I can do this. What would you say someone who's watching this live stream tonight, what would you want them to kind of take away from this as something as someone who feels maybe overlooked or underestimated?
Oh, that's such a good question. Because we all feel that way. I don't care who you are. You always are looking to get to another level, and then you get to that level, and there's another level you want to get to, right? I think the biggest flex of mankind that I've understood, I'm almost 43 years old, and what I've come to understand is not about money. It's not about the nicest car or the house or whatever. It's about inner peace. When I found inner peace in my life that came through confidence and purpose, that's when my life changed. In the film, people will watch and they'll see, and what they'll come to realize is the most difficult, darkest, hardest times ended up being the best times. When I speak on stage, I give these little Twixes, these little baby Twixes, right? And I call it my Twix moment, because in the film, you'll see a moment that really is a pivotal moment in the film. And I won't tell it, but it involves a Twix candy bar. And I believe now some of the most difficult, darkest times in our life are truly the sweetest. Those are our Twix moments. It's when you find in those moments that it's not a dead end, but a new beginning. It's when you find in those moments that maybe life is working for you and not against you. It's maybe in those moments that you really find out who you are. And so whatever you guys are going through right now, whether it's addiction, whether it's a divorce or death or whatever it is, we're all going through something. I'm going through something right now, right? What if that was to strengthen you? What if it was to build character? Because we all know without pain and trials, character isn't built, right? What if what you're going through right now is exactly where you're supposed to be to get you where you're supposed to go? And I'm going to tell you it is. It absolutely is. And so I want people to know that those moments are absolutely working for you. And once you see that, it changes your perspective on how you arrive and live in that moment.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think to kind of tag on to that answer, you mentioned how you kind of had to find peace in it. You embraced it. You took it in. It wasn't no longer about survival. It was about like, no, this is me. This is part of me. What does it mean to you then to stand out, to like really accept yourself and know like you were meant to be this way? You were meant to become this person.
So there's something I say, which is disobey average. Average is the normal reaction, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. What you'll see in the film is people making fun of me. I go back and make fun of them. I strike back, whatever, right? And though that's a natural feeling of reacting emotionally, it's not what changes the world. It's not what makes a difference in this world, right? So how do you stand out? You do what's different. You do what's different. And how do you start by doing that? Well, start talking with yourself kindly in the mirror, number one. Start internal. Start with yourself. I say choose you. Choose you. Choose to be you. Not everyone else's version 2.0, not everybody else's shadow. I did that growing up. I wanted to be Tommy and Billy and Tanner version 2.0, right? If I could just be like them, if I could just look like them and not have Cruzon syndrome, life would be better. But what if that's what God created us to be? What if that's truly the X factor, the flex, what we're supposed to do? I'll tell you right now, we are not having a film about my life if I don't have Cruzon syndrome. It's not the same. Somewhere along the way, I accepted Cruzon syndrome as a gift instead of it being a curse. Somewhere along the way, I stopped praying to God to say, take this away from me. And I said, man, thanks for giving me a difference, because that has allowed me to make a difference. It allows me to shine. It allows me to show up in a different way. Each and every single one of us have that. Whatever we've gone through, it allows us to have that gift to help us be stronger and show up for other people and to have empathy as we arrive for other people. And people will get that out of this film. It'll change them if they allow themselves 99 minutes to watch it.
Thank you for sharing that. That was really, really impactful. And I think our audiences will really be able to take that away with them. LaCol, I wanted to ask you this final question for you. As a mother, like you've seen your kids watch this movie and they love it. And like you said, it's impacted them. What's something that you hope other mothers get to experience as they have their kids watch this story?
Something that I've asked myself often is, am I preparing myself and my kids for that moment when they meet somebody different that looks different visually? And that could be a facial difference. That could be they're missing an extremity. It could mean they have a different skin color, whatever it might be. I just want to be more aware of that and make myself, for myself specifically, am I going up and talking to that person like they're a real person that I care about, And am I teaching and showing through example how to do that with my kids? I can talk to my kids all day about that. And but if they don't see me doing that, they'll model me, as we all know. And so I wish that this movie can kind of change the perspective of people in that way, to be more prepared and to live more bold towards those kind of situations, to take action and not just ignore, maybe. So yeah, I think that's probably something that's been on my mind a bit with this movie, and that's been brought to my attention more. So that's been good.
I know a lot of mothers will appreciate you sharing that.
Nice.
And for you, Tanner, you've talked about authenticity and the uniqueness of this film. Why do you feel like this story matters right now? And like, as a first-time director, like with the world that we're living in today, how do you feel about like the reactions that you've already been seeing with people with this film?
I think that the question that maybe Ben had when he was a kid growing up, at least in my mind, my interpretation of it was, Ben was asking himself, do I belong? Like, he has this difference do I belong here? Or who do I belong with? And I think that is something that everyone feels. I think everyone wonders, do I belong? I know that I felt that way. One of the first screenings we had in theaters, my kindergarten teacher showed up to it. She showed up. She came to support her student, and she reminded me that when I was in kindergarten, I was a shy kid. I was really I kept to myself, quiet, and as I've thought about that, I know why that was. It was because I wondered the same thing: do I belong? And I think Ben's story shows that even for anyone that feels like, man, do I belong? I'm different. I'm not the same as everyone else. That it's like that is okay, and that is actually by design. We do belong. Our differences are here to help you make a difference. So embrace those differences, embrace others that have differences, and learn to stand out and help others do the same. And I just couldn't be more proud to have been able to have the opportunity to tell Ben's story, and hope we did it justice.
I think that's a great way to end this live stream. It's a way powerful way to kind of wrap everything up that we've been sharing tonight. What I know that this film is going to do for a lot of people who get to watch it is that they're going to realize this is not just about that. This is more about the obstacles and things we get to go through, and kind of just embrace them and become a better person and be able to connect with others because of them. And that's what Standout is really about. It's a film that will bring a lot of you guys together, and not only will you get all the emotions that come with this film, but you'll laugh, you'll be happy, and I'm so excited for all you guild members to get a chance to watch it. And don't forget that after this live stream, you can watch this film on angel.com/standoutguild. And with that, I want to thank you guys for being here, for Ben, LaCol, and Tanner for joining us tonight and getting to share your story, like some of the BTS in a sense of what happened while making up this film. Thank you so much.
Thanks for letting us come.
Yeah, it's an honor.
And thank you all at home for watching. Have a good night and make sure you watch this film. And for those of you that missed the beginning of the show, we're going to play the trailer for Standout now.
Many times in my life, I would just put my head down and try to hide.
Do you think this challenge that is yours came because God looked the other way for a minute? You know, people do a lot for someone to notice them. They act out just trying to get someone to pay attention to them. That's not your deal.
The local wrestler could have used his physical limitations to quit sports. Instead, he used it to his advantage.
Ben, you belong on that podium. But you got to pay the price.
He was at a fundamental disadvantage.
Reach deep in, that's it!
But I'm gonna take a shot.
Is this something that I'm capable of handling? Because it's going to take a strong person.
I know what it feels like to not accomplish the goal. It is going to chew you up the rest of your life.
We can make excuses, or we can just chew the excuses up and swallow them. And then you end up like Ben.
You will never live an ordinary life, so make it extraordinary.
World champion! 1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3! 1, 2, 3!